Okay, Obi-Wan. So I'll ask straight to your question. Is the question is Obi-Wan a bad brother? No, because I think this is what happened. They couldn't talk about fear. They're going to talk about loss. Because if you watch the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan had a bunch of losses. He lost Sabine. He lost all this stuff. He lost Sabine. He lost his love of his life. He lost a lot of people in his life because because of the fact that the Clone Wars was going crazy. The Sith were just going crazy, fighting that the war was just like a war was like a fire, a forest fire, right? It was reaching all the galaxies, right? All the galaxies, and to be said, it's like they want to focus on, hey, this is how you deal with anger, fear, loss. They have these type of courses in the in the Jedi, right? In the Jedi Council or Jedi organization. Now, would that be smart? Because they're going to war, they need to deal with loss, anger, fear, all this pathways that lead to the Sith. Now, I'm not saying it's up to Obi-Wan to create that, right? It's not. It's not. But you also got to think about this. Obi-Wan was a strategic leader. He beat General Grievous in the version of Revenge of the Sith, hands down. No lightsaber, right? Just straight defeated him, hands down. Got him out the board. Now, could have anyone predicted Anakin's loss, Anakin's his attachment style or anything? No, he's an attached kid. Surely he had a special interest and say, hey, his mom's here, and then his mom would have survived. If he, it was a Star Wars theory. It's like, what if his mom was brought to Coruscant? She would have had a little job in a diner somewhere, and then she would have just saw Anakin, work, get his Jedi accolades and stuff. It was so I thought somebody did that. I don't know. Somebody kind of created that. Also, I feel like Obi-Wan himself wasn't given him the tools to be Anakin's master with the help of if Anakin had his mom, okay, whatever. He was allowed to make attachments like King Lamundi. King Lamundi was allowed to have hanky panky with his wife because his species was about to go extinct. So that being said, why couldn't that be given to Anakin and Obi-Wan? Like, hey, you guys can hang out. You guys can have like, not Obi-Wan was there as a baby, so he kind of knew better than to do that. But Kenobi could have said, hey, you have a thing for Padme, go pursue it, because it's like, and I think the fear of loss between Obi-Wan and Anakin, where you could feel books. Both lost loved ones, and the war is just like no one was really winning. I think no, the droids were really kind of losing and pushed back of the realm, back of the realm, back of the realm, back to the outer rim, back in the outer rim, back in the outer rim. If they just gave up, if the droids the separatists just gave up and said, hey, we're staying in the back of the outer rim. You guys, they have a treaty or whatever. But I don't think Sidious would like that happen. See, this war was just a mirage or a smokescreen for Sidious. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, going back to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan was a great warrior. He fought Grievous several times throughout the Clone Wars. As you see, if you watch the Clone Wars, you can see him fight Clone Wars. They both had some rivalry. He's a good fighter, um, very intelligent fighter, good swordsmanship, good lightsabership, whatever you call it. Um, yeah, and I just think he was a good brother to him for some reason. But the other reason was like the way the chat was said was, oh well, it's it. He was a good brother, but they weren't allowed to talk about fear, anger, and how to manage those two things, right? And I'm like, couldn't y'all figure it out that he went to Yoda? Yoda, if I was Yoda, I'm gonna end it with Obi-Wan after this. You can't just be like, oh, he's going to me about fear. Let's create a class or a course for people for PTSD who lost a bunch of people, right? And I think Obi-Wan would love to deal with that class, love to deal with that stuff, you know? Would love to deal with it. Would love to deal with the anger, the loss of Sabine, the loss, not Sabine, the Mandalorian princess, all this, deal with Maul coming back, deal with all that. That will be good for Obi-Wan, his character development, all this. But it's like, I think George Lucas wasn't thinking about that as well. And he was just like, boom, I have to get this Obi-Wan. He's an older brother to Anakin and all this stuff. The Clone Wars really made the war seem more devastating than it did in the movies. Because the Clone Wars, you see how every little nitpick of the Clone Wars happens. Everything. You know, it makes me want to go back and watch it, but I don't have Disney Plus. Yeah, like, comment, follow. Deuces. If you have any comments about your favorite Obi-Wan character or a favorite thing about Obi-Wan, comment down below. Alright, thank you. Deuces.